Jim and Linda Lloyd here. We are a husband and wife real estate team from Horizon West, Florida.
That's right, and we have a real treat here
Real
for you
exciting.
today. We have a special guest, one of the local celebrities, I guess you could say. Everybody knows Lisa Marie in the area, involved in a lot of groups in the area, and we're excited to share some of that information with you all today. If you are thinking of moving to the Orlando area, it can be very confusing and possibly overwhelming. So we're trying to help you decide where to land. In the description below, you'll see a link to our quiz. You can answer a few questions. It'll give you a good result based on your answers, what you're interested in,
Starting point.
the lifestyle. So click the link and follow that quiz. A lot of people have moved to not only Florida, but especially this area from other parts of the country. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Moving here?
Yeah.
So I'm originally from New York. I consider myself a transplant.
Okay.
I've been here for about 20 years. My, how time flies.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
oh my goodness. And then I moved. I've discovered Horizon West, of course. This is where my business is located. My main office is out here in Horizon West. And I don't know if you know, but this is the #1 fastest growing community in the nation.
I think we've heard.
Yes.
We've heard a lot about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit about that.
Just yes, the #1. I was like, where are we going to put all these people?
Yeah.
But we're finding room.
Yeah.
We're finding room. Yeah.
We're building spaces. We're building homes and adding lots of new locations.
Yes.
So one of the great things that we thought would be really interesting to speak with you, we have people from around the country that are thinking of moving to the area.
And their first question.
We want a place with good schools.
What are the schools
How are the
like?
schools?
How are the schools?
We've heard different things about Florida schools. You're kind of uniquely qualified because of your business.
Right.
So maybe tell us a little bit about your business.
So I am the owner and operator of Your Learning Solution. We provide tutoring and educational services, not just here in Horizon West, but throughout Florida.
Yeah, okay.
Because we also do virtual. Thanks to COVID, we are actually
so
nationwide.
great. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so
Yes,
cool.
I still have my students that started out here face-to-face. COVID happened, they moved to Louisiana, they moved to New York, they moved to Texas, and we still have them. So yeah. So we're also virtual. We tend to visit the schools because our program is a little different, a little unique than the other tutoring companies. We like to actually visit the schools to meet the teachers of our students and have a conversation. Oh, so how is, Junior doing in class? Is he participating? What's going on? Because, kids are different at home, they're different at school. And with us, they're different because it's a whole different setting. Their friends are not there at the sessions during the tutoring, And school is a social aspect for the kids, And at home, mom and dad don't know everything. So I'm sure we used to think that at one point, right? Oh, what do they know?
Yes.
But, they'd be surprised how much they know. But they're different at home because, they know what buttons to push. Or they know, if I say I have a headache, maybe I don't have to do my homework. Or maybe I don't have to eat the broccoli soup. Or maybe, they know what to do at home, So it's a little bit different. So
how long have you been involved with tutoring?
for a while. I actually used to run a college. So I've been in the education since, oh my God, when did I 2004.
Wow.
Okay.
I've been in education. And then when I actually turned into tutoring, I saw that there was a need with the younger students. When we're older, we're set in our ways on how we learn. No, I don't understand. We have to learn a certain way.
Right.
When you're younger, you're like a sponge, right? And so I saw that and I'm like, I need to make an impact when they're young. So I started the company about 5 years ago.
Wow.
Time flies.
Yeah.
You guys are making me think. Yeah, it's been about 5
So you
years.
were with the college for
I was with the college
20 years or so?
No. I was with them for about maybe 10, 11 years
Okay.
before I left. And then I started, working for different companies, just checking out, let's see what, I want to make a difference with the students' lives.
Yeah.
Volunteering at some of my church with their reading and helping the kids. Then I got sick. I was in the hospital for a normal routine gallbladder removal. All my friends did it in the morning, out in the afternoon. Not me. I had to stay there a week and a half because I had complications.
Wow.
So that's when I started, you know what? I'm going to do this on my own. When you're bored, a lot of things happen. Mission statement, all this stuff, the ideas. There's only so much you can do while you're in a hospital bed, right? And that's when I said, you know what, I need to do this on my own. I know what to do, I know how to do it. I had a certain idea, certain vision of how we should get the student from A to Z, not by skipping, but they have to go through the routine. And that's where it started. Well, I was laying in the hospital.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting.
It's unfortunate I don't get sick too much, because then Lord knows what other ideas I would come up with.
Yeah, well, that's, we don't want to have anybody.
Yeah, no, of course.
So, obviously you come across a lot of students. Do you tutor in specific areas? Areas of education?
So we definitely cover English, the math, the sciences. We do test prep. So we can do all across the board, provided that I have tutors, because it's not just me tutoring. I also have other tutors. So as long as I know where their lack or their deficiencies are, then I can go ahead and help them. Normally I start off with an evaluation just to see if they're at grade level. So people moving from Canada, moving from New Jersey or up north, or moving from California, the education system is different all across the United States. That doesn't mean that they're at level according to Florida standards.
Right.
So of course, when you're starting school here, you want to make sure that where they need to be, otherwise we give them the extra support to get them there. So I do evaluations to make sure that, we can help them get there. Slowly but surely, but they'll get there.
Well, I think that's a great point that I hadn't thought about, but I think one of the criticisms is, Florida's way behind where our kids are in wherever, XYZ.
Right. California.
From the front lines, what do you think?
No, we're not behind. It's California that's way behind.
Okay.
I definitely, I've seen it. I've had students from there. Big difference.
Wow.
Big difference, yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. We're not behind. And I know a lot of the families want to know,
Right.
I need to find the right school. I need to
The
find
best schools.
the best
They want
schools.
the best
You're moving
schools.
your kids. It's fear is motivating that.
Yes. And so I don't know if everybody knows this, but they usually rate the schools. This is an A-rated school. This is the B-rated schools. So families tend to go to the A-rated schools. Not a bad thing. That means that overall, on average, the students their grades are A. But if you go to a school that's B-rated, again, it's the average. What makes a student an A or a B student? Well, are they studying on their own? Are they asking questions? Are they the shy type and they don't want to say anything, or they don't want to look for help? Or maybe the parents are not there to support them or give them that extra support. So that makes a difference. I think one thing that parents should look at when they're looking at the best schools is the way the customer service is, the staff. How are they helping the situation? It may not be an A-rated school, it could be a B-rated school, but they have great customer service. That makes a difference too, because it's how they're going to help your child. And people don't think about
Really
that.
good point.
Yeah.
People don't think about that. They just want to see the A. They could be an A-rated school. That means that the students are testing well. It doesn't mean that the teachers are really helping them or that they have that extra
Or
support.
maybe that's all their focus.
And that's all
right?
that their focus is, So, there's a lot of other things, other components that they should be looking at, not just that letter A.
Right.
Yeah, so one of the things I was looking at was even with U.S. News and World Report, part of their ranking, their criteria that they look at, 30% of it is based off of college readiness that is indicated by how many kids took AP classes, and not only took them, but passed them.
Right.
And then there's all kinds of other factors, teacher-student ratio and even diversity levels and how students from underprivileged backgrounds, how they perform. So it's not a real accurate gauge, I don't think, to see
I agree with
if
you.
the school is good, if it's a safe place, if it's going to help the child learn, go to college, that sort of thing. Where would you say, as students are moving into the area, where do they need the most help?
Math. Since COVID happened, I've seen a lot of deficiencies in math.
Okay.
When you're younger, you need consistency, right? We didn't have that consistency during that whole COVID area. Everything was computerized. The first class that they did, it crashed because there was so many people trying to do online. They didn't have class, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. It's difficult to manage now that you have the students on the screen versus face-to-face, because you're just seeing them on the screen. It's not like you can say, hey, wake up, focus here, Kids were playing video games while they were looking at the session. It looks like you're looking at the computer, you're playing a video game. You're still, it shows that you're looking, shows that you're writing, you're playing, you're doing different things. So they really didn't get, I don't want to say the attention, but they didn't really get the fundamentals that they were supposed to get. And so in math, doesn't matter if it's word problems or numerical computation, that's where I see that a lot of the kids are struggling. Yeah, so the kids 3 years later, 4 years later, it's like, okay, we need to build up your foundation, back to basics, because they don't have them.
Wow.
Yeah, and if they were in kindergarten, where do you learn your rules? What to do in school? Who do you listen to? Right? If you were in kindergarten during that COVID era, you don't have a good foundation of the rules.
Yeah, it really is. You know, it's how much COVID affected all of
yes,
all
yes, yes.
So on average, do you think? I hear you help students, you tutor them for college, maybe for the tests, for the standardized tests,
yes.
SATs, that sort of thing. Do you find students prepared for those kind of tests here?
Yes and no. So students come in and they're like, yes, I want to do well. And so when I look at the previous scores, it's like, okay, well, you're lacking in your English, especially grammar. Oh, what happened? Or they're lacking in their basic algebra. Majority of that test is algebra based, and they don't have the fundamentals. So I find myself tutoring them first before we hit the actual test prep, because they're not going to understand the questions,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's become a little bit challenging, but they think they're ready and they're not, and I don't want to give them another test. So I just look at their past scores, because everybody's already nervous. Oh, I'm taking another test. And I don't want to scare them. Right. Yeah, but I said, well, looking, when you took it in 9th grade, I saw this. You improved a little bit, in 10th grade when you took it again. So that all tells me a story. So I use that, but I don't want to give them another test and they're like, I didn't study. Well, you can't really study. It's stuff that you should know,
Right.
So yeah, but they think they're prepared and they're really not. So.
Yeah,
it's scary sometimes.
I remember taking the SAT a long time ago. Probably very different now. Definitely different scoring system and all that.
And it's digital. It's digital now.
Okay.
Now it's digital.
So you don't have
technology.
To color in the bubbles and all that.
And you can use a calculator for the math for all of it.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
And even taking the LSAT for law school.
Yeah.
And taking a test prep class for the LSAT, especially, was all about kind of strategy on taking the test.
There's always strategies.
How to get to the right answer, even if you don't really know it, but you can eliminate
process of elimination
and all that kind of thing, which is all helpful. Do you have your own scoring system for the schools in this area? The Lisa Marie, as opposed to the niche.com?
I wouldn't say a scoring system, but I do have parents. Parents will sometimes think, hey, we're in public school. I want to take them to a private school. And I say, okay, do your research. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm here. Yeah. And they'll say, well, I'm thinking of taking them to this particular school. Do you recommend it? And I'll say yay or nay. And I'll give them my reasons based off of what I've seen, students I've had from that school, or meetings that I've had, or, I give them my opinions. Again, it's only my opinions. And my opinions, I try to research some of them, because sometimes I have an in, because I know, I know principals, I know teachers, staff, administration.
Dozens or hundreds of students from
parents
different schools.
Working in schools. So sometimes I'll just ask them just questions. Oh, so, what's going on with this? I heard this was happening, just to get an insight. But I use all of that to advise other parents if they want to take them to a particular school. Just because they're taking them to a private school, it does not mean that it's a better school. I think that's one of the misconceptions. It's a private school, for sure. It's got to be better. It doesn't always mean that. Because you want to make sure, again, the customer service, that they're able to provide services for your child, especially if they have specific needs. You want to make sure that they're doing that. And again, just because you're paying X amount of dollars does not mean that they're going to be better. They might have a nicer facility, but it doesn't mean nicer is always better.
Right.
Outside of maybe the academics and just being able to interact with so many students, what's your sense of what the environment is socially for the kids in the schools here?
Well, that's their social life. I think they're more interested in talking about, oh, we saw the NASCAR race. Oh, did you see the play? Oh, this is how, versus school. They always want to talk about anything outside of school. Even when they come to tutoring, we give them a few minutes to let out. Did you see, this, is that, the other, the Oscar, whatever they're into, Did you see the playoffs? What happened? Oh, did you see the Super Bowl?
The Eagles.
Yeah, so they always, we're rooting for the Eagles. They always want to let out something of their social
Right.
whatever that they saw, so that way they can focus a little bit. But if they don't let that out in the schools, it becomes harder for them to focus, you know, so we want them to.
Our kids are out of school, so we haven't gone through the experience with our kids in the schools here. But it seems like they have lots of great sports programs.
They do.
Lots of extracurricular music and drama and
A lot of
the
extracurriculars.
typical kinds of things that you would find in any
Horseback
school.
riding, they have a lot of different things, depending on the school. But yeah,
Right.
they do have a lot. Golf,
Wow.
sports, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot more than up north.
Yeah.
Because I don't
They can
remember that.
certainly be
Year
outside
round,
year
yeah.
round and,
Yes.
and be able to enjoy all
Yes,
of that. So
the weather
that's-
down
that's
here definitely
interesting.
allows that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the homeschooling side, or not necessarily even the homeschool, because one thing that did happen, we moved here in 2020, and our kids were juniors in high school at the time, our youngest. Right? Were they
But we
juniors
had
or
senior-
sophomores?
We had the senior and sophomores. The twins were sophomores, and our
And so they were sophomores in New Jersey when the pandemic
Oh
hit.
my gosh. Okay.
And so they finished their sophomore and senior years in New Jersey. When we came here, one of the things that led us even to think about it was Florida virtual school.
Yes.
Just because they were having to be virtual in New Jersey,
Right.
and
And-
New Jersey was not equipped for it.
Okay.
and they
okay.
weren't.
From my point
They
of
had never had to even consider what it would have to be like to be a virtual
Right.
learning environment.
Okay.
Do you have students that come to you
Yes.
that are involved with the
I
virtual
actually,
school? And-
yes, there's actually 2 virtual schools. There's FLVS, which is for the entire state of Florida,
So we did, yeah.
and there's the OCVS, which is Orange County
Okay.
virtual schools. Yes, but they also have a location. So I'm not sure how FLVS does it, but I know the Orange County virtual, they'll do activities. If they need additional help face-to-face, they can come into the school.
Yeah,
So each
great.
school handles things differently.
Well, yeah, that was one of the things I did notice was that even though it was virtual school, the Florida public schools were also so involved. In
Mhm.
what was, it was like they really worked in.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like here's the system, you're on your own. Teach
Yeah,
it to your
yeah.
kids, you know.
But the benefit also is they can do it at their own pace.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's not like at school, hey, Friday we're having a test. You know,
Yeah.
here you can make an appointment to do your DBAs or to answer your test. And then you have, you know, however long you need until you finished a chapter.
Right.
But a lot of kids don't like to read on their own.
No.
And so they call me, hey, we're enrolled in FLVS. Can you help them with algebra? So we show them the lesson,
Right.
even though what we tell them,
Yes.
review it. Nobody wants to see a
Right.
video forever and
Yeah.
read, you know.
Yes.
So we explain how you come up with the answer, and then they're able to do the little testing. So.
Right. Right.
Do you think that those schools, those virtual schools, help prepare kids well, or what's your thought?
It depends on the student. So you have the students that are really motivated, you know, because they have self-discipline, they have time management. For other kids who are not self-disciplined,
Right.
oh, I'm just gonna click, I'm gonna hurry, okay, I gotta go, boom.
Right.
And they're not really focused on it. So it just depends on the type of student, if it's gonna work or not. You know, it's set up to help them, you know, because they can always go back to the lesson and find what they need to find
Right.
to help them take the test. They're supposed to write notes. So we force our students, hey, can you write some notes on this? Because this will help you on your test.
Mm.
You know, you review the notes as opposed to going back to the computer and clicking, where
Clicking
was
on
this?
each-
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now you're reading each 8-page or whatever the lesson was.
Right.
So we encourage them to write notes, because when you write notes, it's so much easier. Oh, okay, fractions. Oh, here, dividing fractions, adding, subtracting fractions. Oh, multiplying.
Right.
We make them write it out in a way that it's sorted, so that way they're not clicking, looking to review.
Right,
So
right.
it just makes it easier for them to review. But it's set up to help them so they can go back. But if that's not the type of student they are,
Right.
they're not going to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Same as with being in a regular school.
Same thing.
The learning self-discipline,
Mhm.
whatever it is for a kid, is going to
Yep.
help them in different ways in their school.
Yep. Yep.
Some
Some take notes. Some take pictures. Oh, that's a pet peeve of mine.
Take
You
pictures,
write out a
screenshot
problem
or-
and they take it, click, and I say, you're going to write it down.
Yeah.
And I go, no, I took a picture of it. You're not going to see that picture ever again. If it wasn't a fun picture that you're going to enjoy, and this is not a fun picture,
Yeah.
right.
you're not going to go back to it. So don't even play, you know. And so, okay, Miss Lisa. and
Yeah.
blah, blah,
That's
blah,
funny.
yeah. But it's
Funny.
true. They don't go back to it.
Yeah.
I've asked my students, when was the last time you saw the exponential rules? Yeah, it's still in my phone. Well,
Yeah.
I know it's in your phone, but when was the last time you saw it, that you
Yeah.
looked at it from your phone? Yeah, I know. So,
So true.
So one thing also that we've realized, New Jersey school districts are, each town basically has their own school district.
mhm.
A lot of places.
And
Each
most
town,
most places
right.
around the country are set up so that, it's a school district with a
Right.
superintendent
Mhm.
and the principal for that school, whatever. But it's focused around that town, so there's a big swing in difference between like a Ridgewood High School, let's say, versus another town in
Right, you live
in
in
New
Ridgewood,
Jersey.
you go to this XYZ, this middle
Mhm.
school, this grammar school, this high
Right,
school.
right.
It's different here.
So here, where it's a county school
Mm-hmm.
district, is there a big variation between the schools in the different
You're
parts of
zoned.
Orange County?
You're zoned for a particular school, depending on where your zip code is.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to be zoned. Now, of course, if you're going to a private school or a different type of school, it doesn't matter because now you have to find transportation, or if they have bus transportation, they go out into whatever zone you're in.
Right.
But if it's public schools, you have particular zones. Now, I know that they grandfather you in depending, we have so many new schools because
Right.
everybody's moving here.
Right.
We have a lot of helping schools, new schools that are popping up. So they grandfather the students that have already been going there. And some students, no, we want to switch schools, and they'll go to the new schools, but they don't have to. So it becomes a little bit hairy. Like, well, which school are we zoned for? Oh, we're zoned for this one, but
Right.
we're still going to this one.
Yeah.
And so some parents don't want to pull the student out if they've been going to that particular school. But with all the new schools popping up, now they're rezoning. And so it's kind of hard to keep up with the rezoning.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had so many schools open up, and I'm like,
Seems that way.
I'm not sure what section,
Right.
or I'm thinking when somebody signs up and they're telling me, oh, we go to this school. I'm like, but your address says you're in your zone for this one. Oh yeah, well, we were grandfathered in. Oh, okay.
Right.
So it's hard to keep up. Like, how long do you grandfather them in? How long, when does it become mandatory? The
Do you
rules are
see
always
big
changing.
Differences between
Yeah, like is there West Orange High School very different than Horizon High School or Windermere or Dr. Phillips?
Academic wise,
Yeah.
I don't see a difference.
Okay.
Staff wise and customer service wise, I see a difference.
Okay.
So what would you advise parents?
Yeah. How do you
Like,
how do you
would
figure
they-
that part
How
out?
would they get a feel for that?
Call the school.
Call school.
When you call the school, if you leave a message, do they get back to you? There are some that don't. How long does it take to get back? Are they answering the questions that you're actually asking when they do call you back? Because sometimes they won't answer the question, or they'll say, "Oh, we'll get someone else to call you for that one," or to see how much they know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Good advice.
call the school. I always tell my students, do your research. Go straight to the horse's mouth.
Right.
Right? Call the college. Yes, most colleges, will take SAT scores, super scored. But call the school because there are some that may not. You
Yeah.
never know. Call them directly about admissions. Hey, you're right at that cusp. See, you in or you out. Straight to the
Right.
horse's mouth.
Right.
That's how you find out.
Excellent.
Well, also, so it does seem like within Orange County, because it's one school district, they academically have a lot of the same standards for each of
They
the
have to have the
schools,
same standards, yes.
right?
They have
But
to have the
they
same standards.
may not be implemented the same
Correctly.
at each school.
Correctly.
Um,
And you have teachers too, the same way, the way they teach. Some teachers, here, look at this video. And they're sitting there, whatever they're doing.
yeah.
And other teachers are, okay, let me show you step by step
Right.
versus a video, I was never the online student because I hated sending an email to the teacher
Yeah.
for a question and I would have to wait. But I'm ready to do my math now.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to wait
I
2
wanna
or
call,
3
I wanna
hours
do
later
something, yeah.
for them to respond to me,
Right.
So it just depends. Some students are afraid to ask questions
Right.
because the teacher's showing a video and they're not,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, the parents should visit the school, see what vibe, your body tells you, you get that vibe. Oh, I got a good feeling in the school.
Right.
Or I didn't like this, I didn't like
Right.
that. Get to see the school. It's like when you're moving into a new area.
Right.
Yeah.
need
You
to
drive
immerse yourself
around.
Experience.
Let me see how it is in the daytime. Let me see how it is at night. Let me see what stores are around.
Yep.
I find it interesting, especially on Facebook and within kind of moving to Florida or moving to Orlando. Again, people are always saying they want the best schools.
Mhm.
They want the best
Mhm.
schools. And then you'll see others comment, well, St. Johns County is known for the best schools. Seminole County, Orange County,
Mhm.
and then, these counties avoid these other counties. as far as the schools go. Is that even? It's hard to tell, I think.
It is
right?
hard
Like,
to tell because,
maybe Lake County and Orange County, is there a comparison? Is there?
well, with the newer schools, everything's changing.
It's
Just
also-
go visit the schools. I mean, yes, it's kind of like a numbers game or a letter game, I should say, because we grade them A, B, C, you know. Just go in and see, you know,
Almost
because
they're
this is
so
the
wildly
average.
far apart.
They are.
Like
they are.
somebody's going, oh yeah, well the schools around Sarasota and Naples, I'm interested in Sarasota or Naples or St. John's and St. Augustine or Boca
right.
School. Like, you're all over
Yeah,
you're hours apart from each
yes,
other.
they're not even close.
Like,
yes.
We have to bring it together. You know, whereas in New Jersey, we can get from North Jersey to South Jersey in 2 hours. You can go from, you know,
just up north.
the center of Orlando to Tampa in 2 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
But you might be 8 hours on the road to get from some of these places.
It's
So
just up to really the student, because it's like, okay, there's always in every area, there's the good parts and then there's the bad parts. It's the same with the schools. It's kind of hard to decipher because it's also up to the students. You always have a valedictorian in every school, right? So there's the potential, right, to be the straight A student. There's the potential. Well, how did that person get the resources? They have to have resources. They're not just born like a genius. Oh, maybe some kids are. I don't know. You know, Albert Einstein. I don't know. And even Albert Einstein had a learning disability. He was genius.
Which kind of flashes me into my another question that I had. So I was the tested well, which might have helped my school score overall because I tested well. But my learning, I had a lot of in the classroom difficulties with learning. How would you say, you know, for some of the disabilities, the schools are equipped?
Most of the public schools are equipped. They do have paraprofessionals that help. And I say most because in the classroom.
Paraprofessionals for a whole class, or are there some that might have individual?
It's supposed to be to help the teachers.
Okay.
So let's say first grade teacher has her class, they're assigned to that particular teacher, so they would be with that class. Then if they're short staffed, then I could see one paraprofessional going between two classes, but it would be, you know, maybe during reading or it would be during one of the common, not during art.
Right.
It would be one of the cores classes. It wouldn't be through the fun, you know, let's draw, you know, because you don't need a para. But most of the schools, to my experience that I've been with here for the public schools, are well equipped. There's 504 plans, IEP plans that the school puts in place to give the additional support for a student if they have a learning disability, or maybe they just get distracted easily. So it'll state they have to sit in front of the class so they don't see what's going on behind them, or they have to have one-on-one attention with the teacher, or maybe they have to pull them out of class just so they have one-on-one with a specific teacher for phonics or whatever class. So they have that in place so that way they schedule the students to be able to do that. Now, for those schools that are not well equipped, it's because of lack of people. Not because they don't offer it, it's just that they don't have enough employees to do, or maybe they have so many students. Like I knew a school that was over 2,000 students, and I'm like, we need this helper school like now, you know, but you know, because we have hurricanes, it takes delays to build, blah, blah. But and so they don't have enough, and so they have to cut the time short when they're trying to help give the additional support. But most of the schools are able to do that. And then if they're not, then they seek outside help. Which is where I come in. So
because there's so many schools being brought online and growing, there's a need for teachers. There's a need.
There's
for
definitely a need.
There's definitely employment opportunities in that. Which is pretty good.
And it's not just the elementaries, middle schools, high. It's also colleges. Because when I started out, we were short teachers, and I wasn't a teacher until, hey, we need someone to teach math.
So speed round here, maybe just to, as we land the plane, as we wind things up. Favorite restaurant in the area?
Bella Tuscany.
Bella Tuscany.
Italian. I got Italian in me, so yeah.
Well, if an Italian recommends an Italian, it's going to be good.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Do you know if they have gluten-free?
That's a good question. I eat it all, so I don't know. But if I had to say for deli, Parati's. When I used Parati's is not too far from here, actually. It's do you know where the fire station is on 535?
Yeah.
They're right there, right behind the fire station. Yep.
See?
I used to, after high school, every day, I used to have a hot pastrami sandwich. Could never find anything like it down here. I went to Parati's one day and I said, oh, they got hot pastrami. Let me try it. And they're from New York. I was like, oh my God, I'm coming here almost every day.
Another good New York question, best pizza you found in Orlando or in this area?
Because we're willing to drive a little bit.
The closest one is Goodfellas.
Okay.
Go with the name again, right?
Yeah.
Goodfellas by UCF area in Waterford, close to Waterford.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still looking for a good Chinese place though.
Us too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep you posted. Another video.
Yes. And bagels?
Yeah.
Well, Jeff's Bagel Run.
Definitely Jeff's Bagel Run. Definitely.
All right, so hey, we have just had a treat here by being able to speak with Lisa Marie today. If you are considering a move to Florida and you're worried at all about schools, do your research.
Yes.
Would be the one thing. Call the schools, find out what the environment is like. Maybe even
visit
plan
the
an
school.
appointment, schedule an appointment, go visit and see customer service wise. Are they friendly? Are they going to be nice to your children? If you're thinking about moving to the area, and like most people, you want to find communities with the best schools, with good schools for your kids, because you're coming from, you know, wherever it is, from Chicago, from New York, from Jersey, from
Australia,
California,
Canada,
from even overseas.
Yeah.
Your interest, bar none, for everybody is to find good schools for your kids, because good schools usually equate to a lot of other things. As real estate agents, we are not really inclined or supposed to speak about the quality of schools. We're going to direct you to do your research. But one of the things is I would highly recommend you reach out to someone like Lisa Marie, who has experience with students from the schools in this area, who has experience knowing the teachers, the curriculum, the academic abilities of students from all of the schools in this area. You'll be able to get a really good idea. Yeah. And Lisa Marie can talk a lot more freely about schools than we can as real estate agents who are kind of limited by the Fair Housing Act of what we can or can't say and what we should or shouldn't get into. So rule number one.
Also a really great idea just to have your kid your child feel more confident going into the schools is to have some special support, some special help through the transition of
It might help with the transition to have the tutoring set up just to get you more acclimated with the Florida school standards and all of that kind of thing.
Build their confidence a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So visiting the schools, I think, is a terrific idea. I'm also, I'm happy to hear the reinforcement that Florida schools are not behind schools from other states. No. In fact, we may even be ahead of schools in other states.
Definitely.
And a lot
ahead
of the popular states that people are
yes.
moving here from.
Yes.
And so that's all terrific. Lisa Marie, thank you for spending this time with us today.
Thank you for asking.
If we have some folks from our channel that maybe want to get to reach out and meet you, talk to you, maybe even enroll their students, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, you can call the business line 407-658-7575. Leave a message and I will personally call you back. I do have Instagram as well. It's spelled U-R, Learning Solution. And that's Instagram. And then
that's not
No, it's not It's a pun on, you know what? The kids get it.
Yeah,
because of their shorthand.
I'm so cool.
Yeah, the shorthand that they do, the way they start. So that's why I did it, to make it different. You can also email me at lisamarie@yourlearningsolution.com or info@yourlearningsolution.com. Just remember, it's UR and then Learning Solution. No S at the end of solutions. But if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer any of the questions that you have.
Yeah, that's amazing.
For your viewers.
So we look forward to meeting you. We hope to be a part of your journey as you relocate to the area. And please, if you found any of this information valuable, you can like and subscribe the channel. It'll help us reach more people. And thanks for watching.